everybody, and I hope everybody have a good evening and a good summer. And may God bless you and your family and so forth. I believe in human rights for everybody, about their civil liberties and personal liberties. What is the myth about democracy in America? We are a republic. When Ben Franklin talked to this woman after the Constitution was signed, and she asked, Mr. Franklin, what kind of government that we have? He says, ma'am, we have a republic, and we have to protect it. Okay, we have to protect our government and have a participatory type of democracy and republic and so forth. Also, there's economic injustice in this country and so forth. We're sitting down here, and we are 99%. The bankers and old folks who have a lot of wealth is 1%, and they control the American economy. Okay, we need access to education and so forth, not only for adults, but for our children and so forth, to have quality education. And adults need to continuing their education and so forth. And we have to eliminate poverty and so forth. And this has been going on a lot of times and so forth. And we need freedom and our civil liberties and so forth. And freedom has been in in America from the French and Indians War all the way up to these wars in the 21st century and so forth. And we need power to the people and so forth. And may God help you have good financially in your family and so forth. And God bless.
How's it going, everybody? So give it up for Kenneth Williams once again. Yeah, and we're gonna move this right along. Next we have Chimay IV. Round of applause, round of applause.
Hello. Again, I tend to think of myself that way, but not all the time. So today I heard that there was an open mic, and I came to share my voice. And when I say that, I mean that I sing. So I'm gonna sing a song. I don't have any backup music, but when I get to the chorus, you guys can help me sing by, if I go like that to you, and I'll say, I need you to, you guys can say, watch out for me, okay? And that light is killing me. Okay. I'm not always ready to do everything that I need to, and though I might say it, I'm not sure if I have to let it go. And so I might pray about it in the morning. I said I might pray about it in the morning, hoping for some shortness. And if that's not a word, then I made it up. But you know what I mean. I need you to watch out for me when I am down or broken somehow. I need you to watch out for me until I get it all together. And I'm so lucky that peace has a way of finding me, and I am glad that I'm here to share it with you like I'm supposed to do. 'Cause when I have it, you've got it. I wanna spread it too. Would you do the same for me? When I ain't got a thing to say, but I need it to rub off this way. I need you to watch out for me when I am down or broken somehow. I need you to watch out for me till I get it all together. And I need you to watch out for me when I am down or broken somehow. I need you to watch out for me till I get it all together. And thank you guys for participating.
Wow, that was amazing. Give it up one more time for Chimay. So next we have Suren Cunningham.
Hi guys, my name's Suren. Hi Suren. Yeah, I'm from this neighborhood actually, and I'm also a victim of I'm actually a victim of the poor people, I don't even know how to say it, like just crappy landlords treating their tenants bad. And so, yeah, actually me, my mom, my sister, actually, this winter was bad. So our pipes busted. So we're cold. What do? Call landlord. Okay. What she do? She get an attitude. She get mad, and she puts it on us. What are we supposed to do now? Who's gonna watch out for me? Like, so we were put out the house, and I'm just here to express my concern, my problems with you guys. Hopefully I can let you guys hear my words and make an opinion about it, but it's just, I'm sick and tired of everybody in Troy. I know everybody in Troy feels the same when their landlord or whoever's property management doesn't step forward, keep their end of the bargain. So I'm really just trying to let someone hear me and hear my words, and it was like, damn, that makes sense. But that's all I gotta say. I'm just...
One more time. One more time. Next we have Mr. John Amadon.
I have a number of different concerns. In 2010, I went to the Detroit, the social forum that was held in Detroit. And I see that Cheri is going to the one in Philadelphia this year. A very important event, and I wanted to stress how important they are because what you can learn is quite amazing. When I went to Detroit, I saw a collapsed city, a city that went from, in its heyday, a little over 2 million people to now something like 800,000, and that's a generous estimate. High-rise buildings totally gutted, standing there, skeletons, kind of the apocalypse, a very frightening place. In fact, in a recent article online, Detroit is listed as one of the top 20 dangerous destinations in the world today. That was all a choice made by industry and people seeking, corporations seeking profit. None of it has to be that way. The thing about it that I found really fascinating was when I came home to upstate New York, my eyes were opened. I didn't have to go to Detroit to see collapsed cities. All I have to do is go to Schenectady, go to Amsterdam, go to Gloversville, go to many cities in upstate New York. They're smaller, but I never questioned why. Why is this the case? And it's the case because it's the choices that we collectively make. All of us. More responsibility goes to the corporations and the excessively greedy people, obviously. But we can say no. and I encourage people to say no. There is a talk that I'm working on. It just came to me the other night when I was in Las Vegas. I'm a political activist since I've been gone from this area for the last 3 months. I was protesting drones and nuclear weapons out in Las Vegas. There's the Nevada test site where we tested over 1,000 nuclear weapons were exploded on this site. And I know a lot of young people are really unfamiliar with nuclear weapons, but that's the place where they were developed and are still being developed. And we have earmarked $1 trillion over the next 30 years for new nuclear weapon development and refurbishment. Imagine what that could do to homelessness if we took that $1 trillion. We wouldn't have any homelessness. We wouldn't have any college debt. We wouldn't have any hunger in this country at all for the foreseeable future. So we need to connect all of these machinations of war and the weapon systems to the poverty, to the homelessness. And I could go on for a while, but I'm not going to. But in the course of my political activism, I get arrested, once or twice or maybe 3 times a year. And that brings me sometimes into different jails, wearing belly chains or handcuffs, part of what's on the program tonight. Keys, not handcuffs, house keys. And you learn a lot. I learn a lot about white privilege from being in jail. I have access to lawyers, usually pro bono, so it doesn't cost me a lot. I can fight the case. I have the time. Most people in jail today have never had a trial because the best deal they're going to get is the plea deal offered by the prosecution, and the public defender that they are assigned usually statistically has like an hour for the whole case. No time at all. He says, take the plea deal. There is a great deal of learning, which I would encourage people to do who can reasonably, particularly white people, mostly because we're really unaware of the oppression that happens in this society every day on so many levels. And you can learn very quickly and relatively painlessly if you can just overcome a bit of fear. When you get arrested, you have to overcome a bit of fear because the first time you cross the line, it's kind of a scary process. But once you've crossed it, it actually isn't particularly much of anything for us. At least if you're a criminal defendant and really have huge problems, then it is a big issue. But for myself, it hasn't been. But in any case, I just wanted to express some of this because there are so many real concerns in our society that demand our attention. And there's homelessness is one of them in Las Vegas. There are many, many homeless people. There are laws that are on the books that you're not allowed to feed the homeless, and this is in many cities. This is an absolute disgrace. We can all do more. We can call our representatives, and it sounds hackneyed, but we got to affect the people who are making the laws. We got to talk to them, whether we want to or not. Thank you so much.
Thank you, John. Next, we have the director of Joseph's House, Kevin O'Connor.
Thank you. I've been doing this work for 32 years. And 32 years ago, when we'd get a call and somebody was homeless, it was a crisis. We'd pour the Red Cross or the Salvation Army, mental health, would respond and get the guy behind, living in a car or behind in the bin and garage, and get him into a hotel and provide care for him, get an apartment pretty quick. And Joseph's House began about that time because all of a sudden we started seeing mostly men in their 50s, didn't have a place to go. And so folks got together and started an overnight volunteer shelter called Joseph's House to provide non-judgmental hospitality. It was 30 some odd years ago. And what was happening in Troy was happening across the country. All of a sudden, this new phenomenon was happening called homelessness. And they were blaming it on drugs, they were blaming it on mental illnesses. looking at the individuals, and they were flawed, and that we needed to provide care for these individuals and get them into treatment. Fast forward 35 years, we have 3.5 to 4 million people homeless every year. The fastest growing demographics are young women under the age of 26 with 1 to 2 preschool children. We have 40,000 homeless intervention programs that didn't exist 35 years ago. And yet homelessness, until this year, had been a growing phenomenon. We stayed about the same. We shouldn't be proud about that. And what's happening now, what's the biggest difficulty in our work? People ask all the time, you have a stressful job. How do you work with those people? The biggest difficulty is that we are in a society that blames the individual being poor, blames the individual being addicted, blames the individual for not taking psychiatric medications and following complying treatment. When the reality is, that's an easy out for us. When we believe this personal responsibility is to blame, then it disavows us as any responsibility for our neighbor. But the reality is, my generation created homelessness that didn't exist through how we treat people who are poor, people with disabilities, and people with addictions. With a war on drugs, with decreasing access to psychiatric and substance abuse care, decreasing support and subsidies of public housing, entitlements, and in the 80s and the 90s, looking at housing as not a place to live, but a commodity we can get rich through. This whole flipping of houses, this whole looking at and creating wealth, and you look at the wealth. I had a baby that was born in the early 90s, and I was up late at night walking her around from the kitchen to the living room, kitchen to the living room. And back then they didn't have a lot of 24-hour channels, so I was listening to this infomercial, and this fellow name was John Woo, and he was promoting, do it the John Woo way. You too can be beautiful. You too can have a big yacht like mine and have beautiful women. Just do it the John Woo way. And what he was talking about was describing to his process of purchasing and flipping housings. So we've created this intentionally, and we've allowed it to happen because we as a society have switched from looking at individuals with strengths and capacities to blaming. And blaming the victims is what we're doing. So our enemy is not the people that we work with, clearly, is not people who make bad choices. 9 times out of 10, if you treat people with dignity and respect, amazing things will happen. And we've seen that. We've built housing for folks that were on the streets for 5+ years, both in North Troy, South, down on Hill Street, and every one of them, City Hall has fought us for. We've had to go through lawsuits, but you provide people housing first and people succeed. It's not rocket science. But there's a lot of opposition to that, and we've got to get through that stigma, and we've got to provide dignity and respect and be non-judgmental and be compassionate before we are moralistic. I thank you for having this event.
Thank you, sir, for that. Next, we have Pearl Delaney with a poem.
I'm going to read the homeless that I wrote. Pardon me. The homeless. Some have college degrees. Yes, they are intelligent, yes, smart. Some of them were broken. They were right from the start. Some of them lost everything. Just like that, it's true. Now they long to heal and not become unglued. Some have been abused to the point of unbelief. All they look for now is some relief. I'm not going to cry either. Some have had addictions that cost them everything dear. Now they're in recovery and learning not to fear. Their self-esteem has been slighted. It's been so long since they've delighted. They feel the pain and hope to gain refreshing from the heavenly rain. They think of what they've lost and grieve, I know. The only one who has to rise is them. With some help, it is their show. So don't give in to the rope. I know for sure that there is hope. I know because I was one. Thank you.
One more time for Pearl. Next, we have Danielle Charelstin. She works with the Troy Boys and Girls Club. She's my partner in crime. She helped set all this up.
How's everybody doing? I said, how's everybody doing? All right. So like he said, I work for the Troy Boys and Girls Club. I'm the site director there. We are actually, me and Randy are planning to do some spoken word poetry workshops for teenagers. So if you know any who need a voice or an outlet, send them to me. And there's flyers in the back for that. And we're also doing a talent show where they can express themselves through poetry and all other kinds of talents as well. Okay, so I'm going to share a poem. I know time is tight. I'm also a poet. My name is Dee Colin. So today I'm kind of like split in half from Danielle Charelstin and Dee Colin at the same time. Okay. She looks like she used to sing with jazz musicians. Bessie Smith singing "Nobody Knows When You're Down and Out." She holds her brow steady, shoulders back like a dancer, dancing in her mind to the songs of struggle and life. She inhales to prep for the question, holds her breath for the answer, exhales to keep from dying because she's met with so much silence. All she hears is her own voice bouncing off the noise that surrounds her, surround sound silencing her. She stands on the corner of Washington and Swan, on the corner right behind the government building right behind the Capitol building where government don't see her, where vendors sell hot dogs and relish and the hot sun reminds her what hell is. She's been standing like homelessness never breaks her spirit. Truth is she's been waiting for change. Truth is she's been waiting for change and not the kind that jingles. Wanting to be something, expected to be nothing, realizing the ones who are something aren't sharing the wealth, no knowledge to spare, like these people with $20 bills in their pockets that aren't forgiving. People walk right past her, go on living. She stands on the corner of Washington and Swan where her clock is ticking to the sounds of heels clacking the sidewalk, fresh suit tails wagging in the breeze. They rock the slacks with the sneakers on their lunch breaks to Dunkin' Donuts for their iced coffees. Walk right past her to the vendors to buy their French fries and iced teas. Seems like nobody sees what her eyes see really unless it's directly related to their own reality. She stands on the corner of Washington and Swan where the buses stop, where people carrying bus fare wish they could share what they don't have because they know what lessness is. So close to it they could taste it as she swallows the gratefulness in them that they're not in her shoes. But her melodic voice continues. She's singing the blues. She's singing the blues. She's singing the blues to the jazz of car horns, jingling keys, the drum of her heartbeat, and one last chord that keeps her unashamed to survive. Thank you.
Wow, that was awesome. I wish I could talk like that. I can't. Next, we have Nadine Townsend.
My name is Nadine Townsend. I used to be Nadine Collins. I know a lot of people here. I'm from here. I graduated from Troy High in I graduated from Troy High in 1970. And I just want to talk a little bit about transparency in government and us. And us. I came here from Texas. I was born here and raised here, and when I was 18, I left. When I came back a couple times. I've had some really bad things happen to me here. They involve DSS, APS, and a lack of transparency. I've been homeless for the last 4 years. I have been living on bus stops and every place I could live. At 63 years old, I was outside. And they knew it and left me out there. I did everything I could to help myself. And because I was blackballed, because of something that happened when as a child, and it happened to me all these years, they just kept sticking it to me and sticking it to me. And I just want to say this. There's supposed to be transparency in government, and the things that happened to me as far as housing is concerned shouldn't have happened to anybody. I have been tortured. I have 8 herniated discs, and I got hit by a car last year, no medical treatment, because they wanted to get at me to that extent. I just want to say to you all that this is happening to a lot of us, and we have to be aware, and we have to have some place where people can come in and sign up and say, I am not getting this. I want certain people to know about it. These are the people that I want to know. And sign it, and that these things go directly to the people that are responsible for getting them the services they need or the housing that they need. I was in California for a solid year with my 70-year-old disabled mother and couldn't get in. They must have had 1,000 open apartments, but they wouldn't let me in them. That is not transparency. That's doing something wrong to us and hiding it. So I just wanted to say that, and I want you to be aware, and I want all these agencies and people that pop up to help people to give people a sounding board so that they can tell what's happening. The governor knows about me, the president knows about me, they know about me, and they're tucking it. I have been attacked by pit bulls and people, and that shouldn't be going on, especially if it's going on for no reason. So I just wanted to say something, and I wanted to tell this agency and anybody that's come along as a nonprofit to help people, and I have a story to tell about homelessness that is out of this world. I would like to tell somebody. I can't tell it here because I don't have anything on paper. But I just wanted to tell you that I've been homeless for 4 years unnecessarily, and we need a sounding board and some place to write it down and then get it to the people that need to know about it so that we don't stay out here for years and years, because the agencies that are supposed to be backing us up and pulling us in out of the streets are not doing it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Nadine. Next, we have Corinne Carrier.
Hi. In 1963, the United States Supreme Court said that poor people who are charged with crimes deserve an attorney. A prior speaker said that he'd been arrested a number of times and gotten public defenders that didn't have time to provide the services that they need for poor people. I work for the New York Civil Liberties Union, and we brought a lawsuit about 7 years ago against the state for failing to provide counsel to the poor. We found plaintiffs in 5 different counties, and when the government saw our evidence, they settled the case with us. So in 5 different counties across the state, they're revamping their public defense system. They're getting training, they're getting funding. That's great. What about the rest of the state, you might ask? So we're having a lobby day on May 5th, and I live here in Troy in North Lansingburg, and I'm sitting here and I thought I should tell all these people about our lobby day. We're gonna have, it's our NYCLU's first statewide lobby day, and we're having people from our 8 chapters across the state come and join us in the Capitol that day to hear some speakers and to go and tell our elected officials that the solutions that we're putting in place in those 5 counties, every poor person across the state deserves the right to competent counsel that has the time to prepare an adequate defense. So if you're interested, I have a business card, and we can get you signed up for our lobby day and come and let these people know that that's important. Thanks.
Thank you, Corinne. Next, we have Carlos Cabane coming up.
All right, yeah, I'm kind of nervous. It's my first time talking really like this. All right, there we go. I just wanted to say, I like hearing everyone's stories today, and it kind of resonated within my mind something. when we talk about revolution, some people think of guns, going like shooting people up in like some jungle or something, but like these different steps, these are like different parts of revolution, at least to me. You know, I'm only 24, about 25, but I feel really cynical sometimes. And you're like, how can you be young and cynical? But there's so much that's happened to me, but not, more importantly, to other people that I've seen, that I've experienced. But I just wanted to bring that up because to me, revolution is not just like the guerrilla fighters, it's homeless people struggling, it's transgender LGBT people, it's in West Papua and being oppressed by Indonesia, it's people in Honduras and El Salvador who are having to deal with gang warfare and from the government oppression. I mean, it's everywhere. There's so many different struggles going on, and we're so busy trying to just to survive, to even deal with it. So many people I know my age, and they don't care about any of this. And that's a bad way to phrase it. They do care, but a lot of them are apathetic to the point that like, what are we gonna do? You know, we're getting gunned down in the streets. We can't even pay our rent, you know? And it's like so many times oppressed people battle other oppressed people. And that's just like a way it's set up. So I just came up wanting to say that this here is revolution. You know, I'm like, this here is a part of revolution, the way I see it. Revolution is a living thing, it's a process. And it doesn't always take fists or guns, it takes people just caring about other people. Like that movie was, Paid Forward, you know, it sounds kind of corny, but just do good things for people. It doesn't have to be a big thing, it could be anything. Because some of these people, they're so close to dying by, not just by killing themselves, but killing other people, which is just like them, which is in turn killing themselves, you feel me? So just one thing, like just saying, there's a hug or even anything, that could be the difference between life and death, literally. But like, thanks, and I really enjoyed coming here.
Thank you, Carlos. You know, a lot of these things are, you know, they're meant to positively impact the youth community. So it's always nice when somebody from that community comes up and says some stuff like that. Speaks the truth. Next, we have Laurie Schaible. I don't know if she's around here. Oh, there you go.
Hello. So let me ask you a question. Where is the best place to be on earth right now? Right here. Right here. You got that right, Virginia. This is the best place to be. And you know why? Because you are authentic, caring, wonderful, hardworking, intelligent, loving people. And that's what really matters. That's what really matters. Let me tell you something. I lost my job, and I'm proud of it. Well, not really. February 18th, I was fired by the man. Okay? I'm 60 years old. I have no pension. I'm going to be homeless. But you know what? I know something will come, and I'm okay. Thank God it led me to the sanctuary. Thank God Virginia and others led me to the sanctuary, because I have found an awesome community in Troy. I don't even live here. But what is happening in Troy is not what they broadcast on the news every night. What's happening in Troy is wonderful people getting together, having community potlucks, having awesome people like Cheri Honkala come to town to deal with the real issues. So let me tell you why I was fired from my job. I was fired from my job, a grade 23 with New York State government, because I was annoyed that I was earning $80,000 and they're having me staple these sheets of paper together. No lie. And if you had the staple in the wrong place, they rejected the package and you had to redo it. And they had to have little comments in certain areas. So I asked questions of New York State Lottery. Why are we paying people $80,000 a year to do jobs that do not matter? Why are we doing this? We should be paying people $80,000 a year for doing things like what they're doing here, now, right now at this moment. So I am not going to say any more, but please, if you have an opportunity to talk to your legislators, you want to know why in state government they're paying people $80,000 a year to staple freaking pieces of paper together when we need houses, we need neighborhoods that need to be rebuilt, we need food for the poor, we need shelter, we need help. Well, we've got health care, thank God, but contact your legislators and find out why the real work is not being done and why we're paying people astronomical amounts of money to do nothing. It is not the worker bees in state government, it is the leadership, and we really need to do something about it. Thank you so much.
Give it up for Laurie, everybody. So our next and final speaker, he merits no introduction. He doesn't need one. He's an incredible leader in the community, struggling every day for positive change for children all throughout the Troy community. And I just want to let him speak. Uncle Mac, please come up.
Good evening. Good evening. We heard some awesome stuff here tonight, some good singing. We heard about the poverty. We also heard about the struggles. We heard about the cries. But there's one thing that nobody knows. We heard your hearts. That's the most important thing. When you talk about struggle, you got to talk about who you are. And the first thing you got to understand is, who am I? That's the reality of it. Who am I? And what am I going to do to make a change in myself? If I can make a change in myself, I can make a change in somebody else. But if I think about all the downs and everything that comes at me that keeps holding me down, I'm never going to be able to stand on my feet. But the reality of this whole thing is, you got to love. If you love you, you're going to better you. But if you think about what the system is doing, they're going to rule you. When you look at the system, you're looking at all the negativities, everything negative about it, but what is positive about the system today? There's no answer to that, because you know why? There's no answer to that because one lie can't carry another lie. And the one lie can't build on top of the other lie, because you know why? There's no truth in it. When you start believing in truth, you believe in yourself, you believe in your own development, you believe in your self-control. The word is control. If you can control yourself and not get angry and look outside the box instead of staying in the box, because that box is not going to get empty unless you empty the box. Once you begin to empty that box, you will see progress. The gentleman said from the Hope House, he says, there's so many programs today, but how many are really active? They got a name on them, but how many of them active? How many of them are opening doors and saying, come in? That's a question that needs to be answered. But there's funding going out to these programs, and these programs are supposed to be helping you, but at the same time, they're denying you. They're not denying you just because who you are. They're denying you because of what their gross is. We got to have something for us before we give it to you. And this is the way the society is really working. So when we fight against society, we're not fighting against them, we're fighting against ourselves. Because at the end, we're still mad and we're still bitter. It's time to smile and to get away from the crowds. And everybody got to know this for real. Society is not going to change itself. We have to be the change in society. Regardless of what they say in the government, regardless of what they say downtown, regardless of what they say driving these blue and white cars, we have to change ourselves, because you know what? Nobody's going to care about us, only but us. You have to remember who you are. Stand up and be what you was made to be. A person with a heart, not a person with a mind. Not a person with a crooked smile, because sometimes you smile, you're really crying. Sometimes when you're really crying, you're laughing at the other. You can't look at nobody else's downfalls. You got to look at where you are. If you can lend out a helping hand to the next man, you are your brother's keeper. If you can lend out a hand to the other woman, you are your sister's keeper. In other words, you are helping each other to rebuild and not destroy. Today's youth are destroying themselves. We are blaming the youth with all the crazy stuff that they're doing, but the thing is, society don't give them nothing to do. Everything they see out there comes from a video game. That's the #1 problem. The #2 problem is the rap game. Everything you see. The #3 problem is when they come out here, they thinking they're a man with their pants hanging down. That's the 3rd problem. But the most major problem, they don't even know how to be a man or a woman, because you know why? They have no love in them. The only thing they live by is what they see. You are the examples. You are the future. They're not the future. You are the future right now, because you got to change them to become the future. You are the ones that got to stand up and say, enough is enough, and I'm done.
One last time for Uncle Mac. So I just want to thank everybody that came up and speak, the open mic. Just a round of applause for everybody that came up. And I know we're a little over time, but you know, we're going to move this right along. I'd like to call up Virginia Eubanks, who's going to introduce our next segment for tonight.
How's everybody doing? Let's twinkle fingers it out. Like, everybody's energy still good? Or you're kind of in the middle now? Or you're kind of like, what? I thought there was a movie. What's going on? Okay, so we're still up here. Good, I'm glad. Hi, I'm Virginia Eubanks. I'm a member of Our Knowledge, Our Power, which is a Capital Region organization dedicated to economic human rights, and particularly to welfare rights and rights of families on public assistance. And we are a proud member of the Poor People's Economic Human Rights Campaign, and proud to help Cheri come to town. So we're super excited for tonight. And you did not come out tonight to hear me talk, so I'm gonna keep this super short, but I have a lot of gratitude to express, so I'm gonna just throw it all out there. So I wanna thank the organizing team for this event, Andrew Lynn, Christine Nealon, Brandon Miller, Laurie Schaible, Maureen Whitcomb, and Steve Pierce. This really was a collective effort, and I'm enormously grateful to all this great company that we had putting the event together, so thanks. I also want to thank Shauna Goldman, Loretta Piles, and all the Troy Fellows, Elise, Wilhelmina, Beverly, Twyla, and Pearl, who did amazing outreach in Troy and helped get people here. I want to thank the organizers of the open mic, Randy and Danielle. Thank you so much. This is a night of amazing courage on this stage already, and we haven't got to the lady who's been arrested 200 times, so, right? We're doing really good. It's just gonna get better. And then I also want to thank some folks who made this event financially possible. First, I want to thank our organizational partners in the event, Holding Our Own in Albany, Joseph's House of Troy, Our Knowledge, Our Power, the Peace and Justice Committee of the United University Professionals, or UUP, the Social Justice Center in Albany, the Sanctuary for Independent Media, of course, Troy Bike Rescue, Unity House of Troy, University of Albany's Women's Gender and Sexuality Studies Department, and Russell Sage College World 420 class. Thank you so much to organizational sponsors. Both for the financial help and the labor help and the help getting people out. We really appreciate you. And special thanks also for food donations from Honest Weight Food Co-op, Hannaford, Price Chopper, and Dinosaur Barbecue. Food. There's still food, right? So feed yourselves if you haven't gotten a chance to. And lastly, I'm not gonna be able to offer thanks to all of these folks as individuals, but I wanna say something about the more than 30 individual and family donors who donated money, not just to make this event happen, but the majority of the money, the great majority of the money, almost $3,000, will go to fund the US Social Forum in Philadelphia this summer, and also the incredible work of the Poor People's Economic Human Rights Campaign. And I just want to say that most of those donations were from $5 to $35. This was folks for whom $5 really counted. And I just want to really express a lot of appreciation for folks who stepped out to sort of be generous and help this kind of stuff happen. I want to tell one really fast story about how I met Cheri, and then I'm going to turn over the stage. So the really fast story is about generosity, which is I met Cheri at the 2007 Atlanta U.S. Social Forum. And I had been doing welfare rights work for about a decade at that time, and I saw this panel, this workshop about the solidarity economy, and I was like, oh, that's totally my thing. It's going to be so great. We're totally going to talk about how to meet each other's material needs while we're creating the revolution. Woohoo! So I go to this workshop, and I'm all excited, and I'm like, oh, yeah, let's all share stories about how we're doing work in poor and working communities. And in fact, that is not what happened at the workshop, alas. It was primarily middle-class white people, and they were talking a lot about how the problem with building solidarity was that everyone is so selfish and everyone is so materialistic. And my head started to explode a little bit because as part of the Poor People's Movement, I know that we face lots of struggles. We face co-optation, we face material deprivation, we face all the struggles that movements face, plus all the problems of poor and working people. But the one thing that we're never lacking is generosity. Right? And so I got all upset at this thing, and I was like, and I finally just kind of stormed out in a huff. And I walked into the hall, and I walked into literally a room of, I think, like 120 people who were feeding each other. 120 people who had come from all over the country with not a single dollar in their pockets because an organization called the Poor People's Economic Human Rights Campaign said, if you will step out, if you will show courage, we promise when you get there, we will feed you 3 meals a day, we will make sure you have a place to sleep, we will provide childcare for you and your family, and if you have a medical crisis, we will figure out a way to deal with it. And hundreds of people came from across the country. So one of the reasons this meeting, this event is so important is because the Poor People's Economic Human Rights Campaign is organizing the next U.S. Social Forum in Philadelphia, and Cheri is going to talk about that. But I want to sort of do a brag that she might not do for herself, which is it is the first time that in my lifetime that a major progressive event, something like 10 to 30,000 activists showing up, has been organized by and for poor and working people. And I think this is one of the most important movements in this country right now, and Cheri and the Poor People's Economic Human Rights Campaign have been a source of just constant inspiration and constant hope and constant courage, and I am just privileged and grateful and honored to call to the stage Cheri Honkala.
Well, thank you. Good evening, everybody.